Well, I'm going to talk about the power of mentoring this morning, and I'm going to look to a couple characters in the Bible, David and Jonathan, and we're going to focus on a friendship mentoring relationship, okay? We've talked about before you going to somebody who mentors you. We've talked about you mentoring someone, but I want to talk to you about two friends mentoring each other. And I actually find that this type of relationship is not only personally fulfilling, but it also is amazingly helpful on your journey in life. So I'm going to start off with reading a story. Some of you who are baseball people, which I am not, will relate to this story, but I thought it was an amazing story at any rate. And I'm just going to read this account of a testimony, if you don't mind. When Jackie Robinson was signed by Branch Rickey of the Brooklyn Dodgers, he became the first African-American to play Major League Baseball. Number 42 became the target of considerable hatred and death threats. Branch Rickey had warned him that things would be tough and that he should learn to turn the other cheek. Prior to one game, however, Jackie received a telephone call that brought him to his tipping point. He was so devastated he couldn't concentrate on the game and struck out with the bases loaded. In another inning, he made a fielding error. The crowd escalated their obscenities. Then Pee Wee Reese, the white shortstop from Kentucky, and Jackie's teammate called the timeout. Pee Wee put his arm around Robinson and said, "Jackie, let me tell you something. I believe in you. You're the greatest ball player I have ever seen. You can do it. I know that. And I know something else. One of these days, you are going into the Hall of Fame. So hold your head up high and play ball like only you can do it." Robinson was uplifted by those words and went on to deliver the game-winning hit for his team. Many years later, when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, Robinson recalled the day on the field with Pee Wee. "He saved my life and my career that day. I had lost my confidence, and Pee Wee picked me up with his words of encouragement. He gave me hope when all hope was gone." Isn't that amazing? Friendship, peer mentoring is a powerful thing in your life. But you have to let it happen. Amen? You have to let it happen. You know, Jackie Robinson probably could have responded in many different ways to Pee Wee when he came up and said that. He could have said a lot of things and probably been right and justified in what he was saying. But he let the words of his teammate, of his peer, of his colleague pierce his heart. Now, baseball is only a game, but games can change the course of history, can't they? See, Jackie Robinson brought something into the mainstream of American society that had not been there. And a lot of pressure was on this young man's shoulders. And he was just an athlete, folks, okay? I mean, I love athletes, but he wasn't a public speaker. He wasn't, at that time doing all these things to make all this change in the world. He played baseball. He had a bat. Somebody threw a ball. He hit the ball, and he ran around bases. You see little kids doing it all the time. He wasn't out necessarily to change the world. He was out to play baseball, a game of love and a passion, and he changed the world. Amen? And he had help along the way from peers. So I want to talk about us living in a dream this morning and how peer and friendship mentoring fits into that. But let me define dream as it's related to a best friend or a peer mentor. It's basically living a dream together. It doesn't mean your friend is living the same dream you're living, okay? But your friend is living a dream with you as you guys interact on your lives. Does that make sense? Because sometimes friends aren't always really close. Sometimes they're far. Sometimes they're really close, but they're absolutely not interested in what you're doing. I have a best friend, he's like that. I tried to recruit him to the church for 12 years. His name's Rich. He never wanted to come. It just wasn't for him. We were at different phases of life when he was at different phases of life. But nevertheless, he's been able to live with me through all my dreams, and vice versa. And let me also make a statement about living together. This morning, what I want to talk about is not a boyfriend and a girlfriend peer relationship, or not a husband and a wife peer relationship. I'm talking a man and a man having a peer mentorship, and a woman having a peer mentorship, okay? I mean, there's lots of mentorships, and I'm not dissing all those other types, but I want to focus on this one because I believe they have some unique things to offer to your life if you throw your life into it. Amen? Some of you, that might be a little hard to swallow this morning. Some of you might say amen. Some of you might say, oh, how do I get it? But nevertheless, that's how I want to present this morning's topic. In Proverbs 27:17, it says this: as iron sharpens iron, so one man or a woman sharpens another. There's this thing going on between a relationship and a friendship where you guys are sharpening one another, okay? There's things with my best friend and I that we talk about and we help each other along the way that my wife and I don't do. You see, it just doesn't cut it. She doesn't get it. Why? I don't know why. Is there a hole? Maybe. But I just know my best friend, who's a man, and I've been interacting for as long as I've been married, and there's something unique and special about that relationship that's different. Not necessarily better, just different. You with me this morning? Yep. Okay, good. Sometimes I lose thought. I start thinking of something that happened. And so let's talk about Jonathan and David this morning. Before I talk about them, there's three characters in this life story. There's Saul. Saul was the king. Saul was the first king of Israel. Jonathan was Saul's eldest son, if I'm remembering the account correctly, which meant Jonathan was the one who stood in line to inherit everything as the eldest son of the king. Makes sense. Jonathan was going to be king. He was the man after Saul. His father died. Well, it so happened that David came into the picture, and Samuel, the prophet, the last of the prophet judges, anointed David, said, no, you're going to be the next king after Saul because God's called you to be that. Puts Jonathan in a bit of a precarious position, doesn't it? Puts him in a funny position saying, wow, what will happen? Well, Jonathan now and David became best friends. Jonathan knew David was anointed to be the next king, but Saul and everybody else expected Jonathan to be the next king. There's already issues in this relationship, isn't there? You're thinking, oh, that's just not going to work out. That's the background to the story of what I'm going to begin to share with you about peer and friendship mentoring.